What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Gamble and Gains. This is going to be day 2 of my series of betting every Moneyline underdog in round 1. In part 1, we went through every Thursday game and priced up for the best line at the following 4 sportsbooks: ProphetX, NoVig, Fliff, and Rebet, to find the best available line for all 16 games. Today, we'll be doing the exact same thing for the Friday matchups using that exact same method. With that, let's go. We're back on the odds screens. Once again, we're going to have Unabated on our right. This is a great website when you're looking at main markets and you want to compare a lot of sports books at the same time. I live in a state where places like DraftKings and FanDuel are not quite legal yet, so we will be using ProphetX, NoVig, Fliff, and Rebet. Rebet is not on Unabated, but we do have that pulled up over to our left, so we can compare all these money lines rather quickly at the same time, so we can always make sure we're getting the absolute best value. Let's start with that first game. We have Baylor, Mississippi State. As you can see, if you are in a state with DraftKings, right here, you can see under that best line column for Unabated that plus 100 is the best line you're going to find. And at ProphetX, we're sitting at minus 104. NoVig is going to be minus 103. And over here on Rebet, we have plus 100. So first game of the day, it looks like Rebet is going to be our best bet for the best value on the money line. Moving on to Robert Morris and Alabama. And this is a great example of why, Rebet might have been your best bet on that first game. But let's just look at that second game compared to these other sportsbooks. We have Robert Morris, who at ProphetX is going to be plus 2250, NoVig plus 2028. And at Rebet, plus 1325. So if Robert Morris was able to do the unthinkable and pull off the upset against Alabama, and all you were doing is betting at Rebet, you're going to be losing out on a lot, right? So on a $100 bet, you'd be losing out on about almost $1,000, $900 there. And that's not something we can handle. Even on a $10 bet, you're losing out on almost $100 by betting it on Rebet as opposed to betting it on ProphetX. This is why it's so important to always be price shopping. The only thing to note here with ProphetX is when you do win, they will take about a 3% of a VIG off of your win, meaning that plus 2250 isn't really plus 2250. It's about 97% of that plus 2250, and that might not sound great off the top, but because they are a peer-to-peer exchange as opposed to a traditional sports book, you actually get a better line even still, and that's why those money lines are so tight, right? You see, again, let's go back to Rebet, which operates as more of a traditional sports book. They're technically a sweepstakes sports book, but the way they operate is a lot more like a traditional one. You have Robert Morris at plus 1325 and Alabama at minus 10,000. Now we go over to ProphetX and NoVig, who operates similarly to ProphetX. Look how close this is, right? Plus 2250, minus 3,000. Those money lines are very, very close, and they're able to do that because it's a peer-to-peer exchange and not a traditional sports book. With that, let's see what we would actually be winning on ProphetX with that 97% payout that they do give you. And yeah, you're still sitting at plus 2182. Really good number. Better than NoVig. Way better than Rebet on this particular instance. But as we'll see as we go to the next game, Lipscomb and Iowa State. Again, if you live in a state with FanDuel, good for you. That's by far your best line right now at plus 920. They have just not moved the line yet for some reason, it appears. As you look at ProphetX, they are plus 840. NoVig is plus 843, Fliff plus 760, and Rebet's going to win this one. So this is why we got to go back and forth. We got to use more than one sports book. Rebet, great for Baylor, great for Lipscomb, terrible for Robert Morris. But now we are, as I said, we're back on Rebet with Lipscomb here. Moving on to Colorado State and Memphis. So here's one where it looks like the seeding has actually flipped on who should be the favorite and the underdog. So Memphis is actually going to be your underdog at plus 110 over here on Rebet. with a plus 111 on ProphetX, a plus 103 on NoVig, and a plus 100 on Fliff. Now, with that little bit of extra, you got to take off the top at ProphetX. I think we may have another Rebet winner. And we do. So ProphetX is truly paying out plus 107 and Rebet paying out plus 110. So we're going to stick with them there. Okay. Right now on ProphetX and NoVig as we move to Mount St. Mary's and Duke, this is one of those 16-1 matchups. So yesterday I mentioned probably only going to be doing a half of a unit on these games just because it's so unlikely. Not impossible. It has happened a couple times in the last 8 to 10 years, but very, very unlikely to happen. So we have Mount St. Mary's and Duke. Nothing showing on ProphetX, NoVig right now, but over here on Rebet, we do have them at plus 1550. So for right now, we're going to pencil that one in as Rebet, but I may wait to see if I can get a better line on ProphetX and NoVig. As we saw with Robert Morris, you got a lot better of a line on these peer-to-peer exchanges as opposed to your traditional sports books. So I think I'll be trying to look for a line there. But for the purposes of this video and right now, the best bet is Mount St. Mary's at plus 1550 on Rebet. Moving on to Vanderbilt and St. Mary's. Different than Mount St. Mary's. Don't get confused here. All right, Vandy, plus 4.5 dog, plus 162 on the money line here on Rebet as we move over to ProphetX and NoVig and Fliff. We have ProphetX and NoVig tied at plus 164. So we're going to end up going with NoVig for the first time today here with a slight edge over both ProphetX and Rebet. Onto the team everybody loves to hate, it seems, North Carolina, and then they went off and they won by 30 in their first round game after everybody told them they're not good enough to be here. So we'll be taking Ole Miss on this side, which is always kind of nice when you can get the higher seed at a decent bit of a price as an underdog here. So Rebet's going to be plus 106, ProphetX plus 111. I don't see anything right now for NoVig or Fliff. Again, we'll check back. If there is a better bet than what I'm seeing right now, you'll see it in the description of this video when it goes up. So do be sure to check that. I will also have on my Substack a post listing every bet I actually make for this tournament in this round one. And yeah, so we'll check NoVig and Fliff after this video is done. But as of right now, I believe ProphetX is going to be your winner. Yeah, they're plus 107, slight edge over Rebet at plus 106. Moving on to that last afternoon game, we have Grand Canyon against Maryland, plus 440 over here on Rebet, plus 440 over here on ProphetX, and plus 452 over on NoVig with plus 410 on Fliff. So this looks like NoVig's second win of the day, and that will wrap up the first games of the day. All right, so as we head in the evening state, let's tip it off with Norfolk State and the Florida Gators. So looks like Rebet is capping out their 16s at about plus 1,500, so they don't totally lose their bacon if one of these 16s do pull off the upset. Again, these big dogs is where you really want to be betting on ProphetX and NoVig. As we can kind of see over here, we got plus 3,500 ProphetX, plus 3,471 over at NoVig. This is a close one. I think it's going to be ProphetX. Let's see. Nope, we're going to go with NoVig on this one. That's so you drop kind of a lot when you take only 97% of plus 3,500 there. So plus 3,471 is going to be your best bet at NoVig. Again, FanDuel coming in kind of strong here on the money lines, which is a little bit surprising. So I do a lot of college football betting, and when I am in a state that has FanDuel, they tend to have not the best money lines around, but for whatever reason, maybe they just have too much Florida money coming in, and they're pumping Norfolk State to see if they can get some buyback just in case. In the likely event that Florida wins, they can get some buyback and not get their asses handed to them there. But we're going to go with NoVig at plus 34.71 for the purposes of our video and what we're doing. But again, if you live in a state with FanDuel, rock and roll with them on this pick. Moving on to Troy and Kentucky. ProphetX plus 500, NoVig plus 481, Fliff is plus 490, and Rebet is going to win again at plus 530. So these lower seeds, these like middle seeds, Rebet seems to be doing a really good job of pricing these. Really good job pricing them for us, right? So we're going to go with Rebet again here on that second game of that evening slate with Troy at plus 530. As we move to New Mexico and Marquette, we have plus 146 on Rebet. We have plus 154 on ProphetX, plus 153 on NoVig. This is going to be a NoVig winner. I'm not even going to bother doing the math up over here. You don't need to see that. Moving on to Akron in Arizona, we have plus 760, plus 700, plus 690 on Fliff, and plus 770 over here on Rebet. Rebet wins again. Rebet's gonna have a good day. Well, Rebet we hope has a bad day when we're all said and done with this on Friday night and we're counting our money. Moving on to that 8:25 Central tip of Oklahoma and the Yukon Huskies. Yukon every year seems to get in as a mid-level seed and then run the table and win somehow miraculously. But we're betting Oklahoma. ProphetX plus 192, NoVig plus 188, Fliff plus 180, Rebet plus 187. Let's see. This is going to be a close one. We do need to actually do the math here. Plus 186. So, yep, we are going to be betting Oklahoma over at NoVig at plus 188 is going to be our best bet. They're a dollar better than Rebet and about $2 better than ProphetX on that one. Xavier and Illinois. Right now, we don't see a line for either of those games on ProphetX. So Xavier did win last night, and so they may not have them up yet here on Unabated. So we'll have to check back on this, assuming that these are not available at the time that I want to bet. Fliff is at plus 130, and they just changed live on the screen. Fliff was finally going to get their first bet from me for March Madness, and now we'll be doing this on Rebet. So they were just plus 135. You all saw that change right on the screen to plus 130. That's a great thing about using an odds screen, right? It'll show you when things like that happen. But plus 130 on Fliff now, plus 134 on Rebet. Load the last couple games of the day. So Rebet, let's see, we got Bryant and Michigan State plus 1125 for Bryant over here, plus 1200. ProphetX plus 1166. NoVig. Let's see what the real ProphetX payout is. 1164. So this is going to be a tight one with the edge going to NoVig. As we head to the last game of the day, we have Liberty. We have Oregon. We have plus 255 on Rebet, plus 255 ProphetX, plus 234 NoVig, and plus 240 on Fliff. So respectable showing by Fliff there, but not quite good enough to get our bet for this last game of the day. We do have the Liberty Flame over here on Rebet. Now, one thing I will be doing and pricing out is I think my only parlay of the tournament, and I'm looking to find a place to do a same game parlay, a little bit of a tangent here. I want to take Liberty and the over Liberty is a team that likes to shoot a lot of threes. So if they get hot and they can pull off the upset, this game is probably going to go over 139 because they're going to be hitting at a high percentage from the three-point line. So a little bit of a tangent there, but overall, Rebet getting a lot of our bets today, as well as NoVig getting a lot of our bets today. Unfortunately, nothing from Fliff on these money lines, but again, I do encourage you to download it. I do have a referral code in the description. They run a lot of really good specials that are what we would call positive EV, and I'll get into that in another video, but they'll run specials that say, hey, this price is 20% off right now. Those are great bets to do, even if you have no idea what's going on, because the value is higher than what is expected. Thank you guys for watching. That wraps up round one of betting every single Moneyline underdog in this year's March Madness tournament. I had a lot of fun making these two videos. I hope you've enjoyed watching them, and there will be plenty more both sports betting and fitness content to come on the channel. Thank you again for watching, and have a great day. Best of luck to everyone.